I was getting ready for a big summer motorcycle trip with my buddy, and we had bought big shaft drive bikes at the close of college, and but I was noticing as we got ready for this trip around the United States, the perimeter of the United States, that I was having a shimmy in my bike at around 50 miles an hour. And it would start to shake the handlebars a little bit, and I was pretty concerned about it, and it was about a week and a half beforehand. So I was down in Federal Way from the UW, and I was looking for a place where I could test it out, and then if I could figure out what was happening, I'd take it to a mechanic and see if they could fix it, because the trip was only a week and a half away. So I'm looking, and everywhere I'm looking, I can't find it, and it's getting time where I have to get back, and I'm really wrestling. So I get to this spot on 320th and Federal Way. 320th back in that days was just 2 lanes, and I found this spot, and it's at where Twin Lakes is starting, and there was this downhill part to 320th. I figured I could jack it up, so I from a start I just jacked up this BMW motorcycle, and it was. Then I looked down to see, am I going 50 yet? And when I looked down, I was going 90 miles an hour on 320th. And right then, as soon as I looked down and I saw the speedometer, the bike shook me, and the handle shook. And all of a sudden, I wasn't even graduated from college yet. All of a sudden, it threw me right off and through the windshield and broke the windshield. And all of a sudden, I'd had 2 other wrecks, and so I told myself in the slow motion that happens in one of these intense things, that roll this time, don't fight it. And so I remember I was rolling, and I could see the asphalt would show up every rotation of my head, and I had full face helmet on. And I could see the bike sliding behind me, and I'm just rolling and forever. And it stopped, and I looked up, and I looked, and there was my bike, a couple feet from me, and I was able to stand up. And then I looked down, and I couldn't see anything wrong. I looked at everywhere, and there was nothing wrong, and there was no blood. And I looked down at my gray and red and black plaid nylon, bell bottoms that they had in the mid '70s, the disco stuff, and they were normal. But then I noticed that actually it was my leg. It was my leg. It was all charred up. It was all scraped up, and it was just my leg was that color too. And the pants. And then I noticed that my leg was starting to shake like Elvis. It's just shaking. I looked down and I thought, wow, this must be shock. I guess this is what shock is like. My leg's uncontrollable, and it was normal. And I looked around and I thought, I can't believe this. And I just had a 90 mile an hour wreck, and nothing has happened to me. And I decided that it was like landing at Plymouth Rock or something. I needed to thank God immediately. And I prayed and thanked God. I don't know why you've done this, but you've spared my life, because how many people have a 90 mile an hour wreck and live to tell about it?
How long have you been a Christian?
4 years. Where I was a solid Christian, and here I'll tell you another little story about the motorcycle trip that we were planning for. I had brought home some ichthus stickers. You remember those fish stickers? Jesus Christ, Son of God. And I had gotten them at the Christian bookstore, and they were gray, black and silver and gray kind of. And I brought them back, and I bought 4 of them, 2 for each saddlebag, 1 for me, 1 for Rob. So I said, hey, Rob, I got to show you these. I want you to put these on your bike, and I'll put them on mine, and we'll be matching, and we can be a witness for Christ. He says, that's fine, Jack. I'm glad you got that. I said, well, aren't you excited? He says, yes, Jack, I'm very excited for you. Well, aren't you going to put them on your bike? I said, no. I said, why? We're both Christians. And he said, well, Jack, you see, I intend to speed. You're going to speed? How can you do that? You're a Christian. He says, Jack, you've got a lot to learn. So that's that one. How's that?